welcome to Slasher Sunday. I am on the road picking up my kids, and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I was leaving the house, and I realized, like, oh shit, I got to do Slasher Sunday tonight, because if I don't do it tonight, I won't get to do it. And I seriously was like rushing out the door. So I looked on my shelf, and I grabbed the first slasher I saw, and that was Murder Loves Killers 2. I'm just holding my cell phone in my hand right now. I don't have my mic, so I don't know what the quality of the sound's going to be like. It's probably terrible. Everyone's sleeping, so I'm being a little quieter, so I apologize. This is probably not going to be the greatest Slasher Sunday, but it was either this or nothing. So if you think nothing is better, then you can shut it off and come back next week. But anyway, the reason that I picked this movie up originally and own it is because a girl named Christine Haberman is in it. And Christine was on a show called Scream Queens, not the Emma Roberts and Jamie Lee Curtis show, but a game, like a contestant show where girls are competing each week. They get eliminated, like all the reality shows now. And this was years back now. And what they were doing is they were competing to be the next Scream Queen in an upcoming horror flick. And each season, there was 2 seasons, they were trying to win a part on Saw 6 was the first season, and Saw 7, the final chapter, was the second season. And Christine was a contestant on the second season. Spoilers for the show in case you check it out. It's all on Hulu. She was a contestant on this show that I really liked, and she made it all the way to the finale. And she ended up losing. And I was bummed because I was really pulling for her. I really liked her a lot. Thought she was talented, charismatic, good actress, really pretty. Just kind of had the whole package going on. And so I had watched the show years after it had aired. I didn't watch it like week to week when it was airing. I watched it, maybe 5-6 years later after it had done. And so I looked up her career, and I was like, wonder what she did after this. And she ended up being in Chillerama, which, one of the dudes on the show was James Gunn. He was one of the judges, because he had made Slither and whatnot. And this is before he made Guardians of the Galaxy or anything. And, Chillerama came out, and one of the dudes on there, I think it was Gunn himself, maybe. Now I'm questioning that. Was it him? Somebody brought her on that movie because of her time on Scream Queens. I think it was Gunn. It might have been a different judge. So I'm confusing the two. But James Gunn's on there, which is pretty damn cool. Every time I move my head, it's shaking the camera. Look at this. It's just like, sorry guys, I don't have a tripod. I don't have anything. I had to run out of the house. So, but anyways, I really liked her. So I looked her up, and she's in Chillerama, as I said. She's in a movie called The Millennium Bug, and she's also in this one as well. I really enjoyed The Millennium Bug, and I like this movie too. This is a hard recommendation, and of course I'm going to get into spoilers here in a minute, but it's a hard recommendation because it's an ultra low budget horror flick, and like there's no cinematography. It looks like some friends filmed it, not incompetently or anything. Definitely like rookie independent filmmaker, wannabe horror director, feel to it for sure. But the lighting is terrible and whatnot. So that part's off, and that's hard because I know a lot of people like some kind of quality to their, the film itself, like how it's being filmed, the lighting, all that stuff, and that's just not here. But also, Some of the acting is pretty rough, and it is also extremely different and pretty slow at times and plotting. So I don't think this film's for everyone. It's a hard sell, but because I feel like almost no one's ever going to talk about this film, and I really like Christine, I just was like, hey man, this could be a fun rewatch. And so I rewatched it, and here we go. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, like usual. I really like the opening music in this, and the opening narration, which feels like it's out of like a Paddington movie or something. It's like very kiddish, and that's kind of retained a little bit throughout this, because the killer at the end, when he speaks finally, it's not at all like you would expect. And the opening narration in this is almost trying to be a Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing, but the way that they do it, they make it way more friendly sounding. And instead of doing the like obvious like 3 kids, that really deep, intimidating, scary voice that most of these movies have narrating, like the horror flicks. So it was kind of a fun little change of pace there with that. And it does the little some years ago thing, and then it just says like, it tries to make it all sound like some idyllic summer, and then they all died, and then it just cuts to like now. So it's just like we don't even get to know. God, this camera's shaking so much. But we don't even get to know really what happened to them or any of that stuff. I don't feel like that's explained at all. But we cut to now, and these kids are, they break down because one of them is speeding and his car can't handle it. So they go and they take shelter in this house. And what another thing I really liked and I respected about this film, there's a few things that I really respected and why I ended up enjoying the film overall, because there are some issues with this film, no doubt. But one of the things that I respected is, a lot of indie filmmakers, when they have no budget, they usually settle for tripod shots and like quick cuts and just like short takes. And this director doesn't do that. Like, he has a lot of freehand camera and handheld stuff, and he's also doing like really long takes and going like upstairs, downstairs, outside, around, like all one long take, like a Boogie Nights or something, when they're following him through the house and through the, not obviously into the pool or anything. They don't have the means to do something like that. But I really respect when filmmakers do that, because those long takes are really tough to nail, with the cameraman, the actors, everyone having to hit their marks and whatnot. But I mean, I guess when you don't really have any lighting and you probably don't really have much of a crew and it's just a dude carrying around a camera, it's probably nowhere near as hard as like, tracking shots and all that like you would have in higher production value films. But still, I respect the, I don't know, the ambition, because they are pretty ambitious shots for a film like this. And we get some pretty good kills here. We get this guy, the killer comes on the screen. He looks like this comedian that's in a few 90s comedies, now comedies. I can't remember his damn name. So I was looking him up. I was trying to look him up on IMDb, but I can't remember it. And I figured if anyone had seen this movie, they'd be like, oh my God, you're right. He looks just like him. At first, I was kind of thinking a little bit of David, whatever, the champ from Anchorman, been in everything. It's not that though. It's like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe if I find it, I'll put it in the comments below. But damn, man, I couldn't find it before this. But he takes a hook and he puts it through this guy's back and he like strings him up. And the other chick, like, he takes this dude and he just stabs him. I mean, he must stab the dude 40 times in a row. That was some gnarly ass shit. Like, it's not graphic gore by any means, but just the relentlessness of the stabbing was pretty brutal. So I like that. I mean, it does get fairly tortury, and I know there's people who are just not into the torture aspect of horror or slashers or anything. They just like the kills to be clean and quick, and they don't want to see someone strung up and tortured just for the sake of shock value. And I can respect that, but I'm fine with it. And puts coffee cup in shirt. Sometimes I write shit down, and I try to like make it like shorthand, and I think I'm gonna know what the hell I'm talking about, and then I look at it and I don't prepare at all. I look at my shit and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Oh, she puts the coffee cup in the shirt. That's right. So this guy and this girl are like, you know, he undresses her while she's sleeping and writes like "enter here" on her ass or whatever. So she like jumps up and they chase each other around the house, and they're like throwing shit at each other, clothes and whatnot. And then she like gets down on her knees and she takes a coffee cup and she wraps it up in her shirt, and then she comes back up to where he can see her, and then he's just like, what? And she throws it and like fucking hits him right in the face with it. And then she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That really does feel like something a drunk chick in my past would do, and that's fucked up. When I saw that, I was like, really? You could have knocked his fucking teeth out. You could have done so much damage. That's crazy. Anyway, I like that he kills a couple people, and then the kids kind of go off and go upstairs and whatnot, and then he comes back and fucking starts just cleaning the house around them. He has like zero emotion in this movie at all, which I think adds to his character. Some people might find that to be a little off-putting, because I'm sure they'll be like, well, he's just not scary or intimidating. And to me, it's more like the fact that he is emotionless, that he doesn't have anger, that he doesn't have sadness, that he doesn't have those things, does make him more unpredictable, because you just don't know what to expect from a guy like that. But anyway, he brings out like a birthday cake and, puts it down, and then he comes in, he has like the mask over his face and on his head, and he stabs the guy a bunch. And then breaks his neck. And I thought that was really clever editing, since they don't have the budget to do gore and effects and whatnot. Just kind of like twist and then put the guy's shirt on backwards and have him sit on the back of the chair, and then bring his neck around and do like the editing, like real spliced together, like quick cuts. It was clever. It's a clever way to do a neck break in a film like this. And then we get a knife cam on the girl, which I thought was pretty cool. I've always wanted to do that. I want to do it more, a little more sophisticated than that. I'm not going to explain it, but I like that it's here, and then he sticks it through her mouth, and it's sticking out the back of her head, and he just kind of like pushes it around in her mouth. It's a cool shot. That's a really good kill scene, gore scene for this kind of movie. And then the problem with the movie, once everyone's dead, we get a lot of boob. There you go. Some girl gets topless for like a good 3 minutes in the movie, so there's a plus. But anyway, after that, Christine Haberman, however you say her name, she gets chased by this killer, and then she's hiding from this killer, and then she's, trying to slowly make her way out, or this, and then that shit goes on for way, way, way too long. It is so drawn out. It is so boring at times. I'm just like, I get it. Like, I get what they were trying to achieve, for sure, but it just didn't work for me personally. It was just kind of like, this needs to be tightened up a lot. Like, I get it, you're trying to build tension. I get it, we're trying to be put in her shoes, and how, like, at any minute somebody could burst through it. But the tension just isn't there, because it's too drawn out. There isn't a good enough tension being set by, like, music or by performance or by direction, camera placement, all that kind of stuff. It's just all very generic stuff, like just kind of like plain, bland shots, and the music isn't really cute, and there's not really any urgency to it, or it's just really, really poorly constructed, and it just drags and drags, and you're like, fuck. And it's like, right, it's more, a little more towards the end, but it's basically the like whole second act of the film. I'm exaggerating, it's not that long, but damn, it's long. Anyway, finally he strangles her, and we think she's dead, and he throws her in her trunk. Oh no, I'm sorry. He knocks her out and he puts her in a bed. Sorry, this is where I was getting to. Puts her in a bed, ties her up, and he says, "Look, I have a sexual problem. I need you to help me out with it. Like, we can help each other out, whatever." And he throws some glasses on her, sprays some perfume on her, and tells her like very eloquently. Like when he speaks, he's just so calm and collected, and you know, as I said, he's just speaking so eloquently that it's jarring, because it's not what you expect from this psychopath from the rest of the movie who's just killing people violently. You think he's going to be much different than he is, and that's, as I said, that adds to the charm of the film. It's just, it flips everything. It takes a lot of tropes, and it just kind of does a whole 180, not a 360. A 360 is just coming right back to the place where you've been. 180. And I really like that, but you know, we obviously find out later in the movie that that's what his daughter looks like, and he tells her like, "I want you to call me dad from this point on." So he has a sexual fantasy about his daughter that I'm guessing he doesn't want to actually, you know, partake in. He doesn't actually want to, you know, make this come into fruition by raping her or trying to seduce her or whatever, forcing himself, what, you know, I don't know. However, he would accomplish that. He doesn't want to do that. So he, you know, makes a fantasy world where he can do this to somebody and pretend that way. And he like reads her a poem that he has written for her and all this. So this guy is just like, he's been planning this, because he didn't know these kids were coming to his house. So this was just luck for him. Which of course is extremely convoluted and convenient. Like, they just so happen to walk into this murderer's house, and shit, it's silly. It's not even worth analyzing. And then yeah, he chokes her out, and you think she's dead, and he throws her in the trunk, and he goes home. And then this is kind of drawn out, but at the same time, I kind of like that it adds to it that he just goes home, and we get to watch like a very small snippet of his normal life. And he comes home and his wife is cheating on him. She has another man in the house and like sneaks him out. Just adds a little depth to their relationship and his mindset at the time, and how his family thinks of him, and how his wife is unhappy with him, and how he's clearly unhappy with her, and he wants the daughter, and the daughter doesn't want anything to do with him. So there's a good dynamic that's established in such a short amount of time. So that was pretty good storytelling for the amount of time that was spent. But then they get in bed, and they're like, you know, they're just kind of having normal family talk and normal family interactions and drama and whatnot. And then the wife like tries to tell him she's cheating on him, and he just won't hear it, because he's so non-existent in that household. He's just kind of shows up. He's like a placeholder. And then he leaves, and he opens the trunk, and Christine jumps out and beats him with a tire and iron, and then grabs his tongue, yanks it out of his mouth, rips it from his mouth, and then puts the tongue back in and strangles him to death with it as the family comes out and watches it. And probably a small part of them, if not a large part of them, is celebrating his demise. So how she's able to rip his tongue out without A, him being able to bite her fingers off, and B, having the strength to rip a fucking tongue out. Bullshit. But it's fun, it's silly, it's just part of the film. But anyway, yeah, so I like that. It's just, as I said, there's a lot of things that are just kind of taken and flipped and I enjoyed that. So it has its charms, it has its downsides. I could fast forward through a lot of the stuff I said, but there are things that I dig. And I will reiterate once again, this is not a film for everyone. This is going to be a slasher film for people who are like diehards of the genre, the subgenre, and can look past a lot of low budget, you know, oh, fuck ups. Basically. So, anyways, all right, guys, I need to go to bed, but hopefully this audio is decent enough that you could hear me. Otherwise, this was a total fucking waste of time, and this will be a video everyone skips over. So, anyway, anybody know of the Scream Queen show? Did anyone like this chick? Has anyone seen Millennium Bug? Did anybody like? She was in the I Was a Teenage Werebear, which I thought was great. I love Chillerama. So, anyone a fan of that one? All right, well, I'm gonna go. All right, until tomorrow, I'll try to get to Monster Monday. Not 100%, but I'll figure it out. All right, guys.